Hello everyone. In the last video we saw about the introduction to Python language, the data types in Python language and the variables that are in Python language. Now in this video we will see how we can comment a line of code in Python language, what are variables, how to create a variables in Python language. Then we will see the different types of variables in Python language. We will see how to create a list in Python language and how can you create a function and call a function in Python. So without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we'll start with it. Now using hash symbol, we can comment any line of code in Python. Alright, so as you can see here, I've used hash for example and the line has been commented. And when I try to print a, you will see I get an error, which is name error, and the error is name a is not defined because a I've commented it using hash. Now talking about the print function outputs the message to the standard output device or the screen. A string or any other object may be used as the message, but before being displayed on the screen, the object will first be turned into a string. Alright, so if I'm printing a as an integer, the value inside a will first, it will be, before it is displayed on the screen, it will be converted into a string, and then that object will then be displayed on the screen. For example, uh, if I initialize a is equals to 10, right, and when I run this, you will see the error has gone and I get the output as 10 because the value of a is 10. So this was all about print and using hash to comment a line of code. Thanks. Okay, now let's talk about variables. Let's say what are variables. So a layman definition of variable would be that a variables are containers for storing data values. Okay? So in the last video we have already seen how to create a variable in Python. So just look at it again. Now Python has no command for declaring a variable, and a variable is created the moment you first assign a value to it. For example, if I wanted to create a variable in C or C++, I would have to declare the data type of the variable before initializing it. So this is the syntax if I want to declare and initialize a variable in Python, in C, my bad. But it is not the case in Python. I just can directly write the name of the variable and initialize it with the data type I want to store inside that variable. That's all I need to do. So in the same way, I've stored string inside B and float inside C, and when I run this, I get the output, and I'll also print C. And I will run it again. There you go, 10, 12 and 10. Now if we want to see what data type a variable is storing, we can use an inbuilt function that Python provides us, and that function is type. So I already have 3 variables initialized, a, b and c, and all of these variables hold different data type. So a holds integer, b stores string, and c stores float. Now when I use type function and when I put a variable name inside the function, it will return me with a data type that variable is of. So for example, a is of integer data type, b is of string data type, and c is of float data type. So if I run this, you can see a is, or to make it more obvious, I'll do this. A is and then b is and see is okay, and when I run this again, you can see A is of class int, B is of class string, and C is of class float. So this was all about the type function. Thanks. Well, okay, now we will see how to create a variable. So before creating a variable, there are some constraints that we need to keep in mind. So let's see those constraints. The first one is that the underscore character or letter must come first in the variable name. No number can be used to begin a variable name. Only underscore, digits 0 to 9, and letters A to Z are permitted in variable names. There is a case sensitivity in variable names. Age, and age are all distinct variables. Any Python keyword cannot be the name of a variable, and Python type variables names are case sensitive. So here are some of the examples of some legal ways to create a variable in Python. So my name underscore name underscore my underscore name, and just like that. So I've also printed all of the variables. I'll just run the code so you can see every single thing I've run successfully and we have not got any errors. And here is an example of Python being case sensitive. So I have name and I've again name with uppercase, and both of the variable are holding different data type, and when I print them you can see the output as well. They both hold different data type, and this was an example of Python being a case sensitive language. Now if you are initializing your variables, like putting a number before or both of the number as the name of a variable of one address underscore one, now this is not allowed. This type of initialize declaration of a variable in Python is not allowed. As you can see, I also get an error when I run this code, and the error is syntax error, which is invalid decimal literal. Now note, based on Python syntax, decimal literal cannot contain alphabet letter, for instance 12.45 or 45p12 and so on and so forth. Now to fix the issue, remove the letter in your numeric values, right? Numerous values to numerous variable. Python enables you to set values for several variables in a single line. For example, I have 3 variables in a single line, and I have initialized every single of the variables, and I've also printed. You can see the results that I've got. So this was all about the variables in Python. Thank you. Now we'll see casting. So there may be a situation when you want to assign a type to a variable. For example, let's say there is a variable a that stores an integer 1, and there may come a situation where you want to type it to a float. So in that situation, casting can be used to accomplish that. Now Python is an object-oriented language, and because of that, all of its data types, even its primitive data types, are defined using classes. Just so you know, Python has 4 primitive variable types, and those are integer, float, strings, and boolean. So here is an example of casting. So I have a variable a that stores 1 as an integer, as in string. So I've typed a as an integer, so int a, and I've print the type of integer of the variable a. Then I've again casted a into a float, and I've printed the type. So you can see initially it was a string. Then when I typed it into when I casted it into an integer, the type changed into the class integer, and when I casted it into float, type changed into float. Alright, so now we'll talk about list. So multiple items can be stored in a single variable using list. List is one of the 4 built-in data types in Python. So list items are indexed. The first item has index 0, and the second item has index 1, and so on. Since lists are indexed, lists can have items with the same value. That means it allows duplicates. and to get the length of a list we can use length function, and list item can hold any data type. So here is an example of list: mango, apple, grapes, 1 2 3. So this is a very basic list. Now if you want to get the first item of a list, what you can do is print name of the list, and the name is my first list, and I can just do 1 because it starts from 0. So to get the second element you need to type 1, and when I print this, so you can get apple, we got apple as an output, which is the second element in the list. So this was all about list. Thank you.